God is giving us a sign. It's like, I set before you life or death. America is on one hand, is racing away from God on the verge of judgment. But on the other hand, God is saying, listen.
A storm is building over the huge region of the Middle East, and many are curious as to where it will go. Israel is at the center of it all, fighting against all the obstacles like a lone warrior. After all, it's the God's chosen place. Over the years, Israel has made it through tough times with glory, because this place is God's favorite place. Maybe that's the reason why it appears as though a line has been drawn by everyone against it. From the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, the chants of "from the river to the sea" reverberate, indicating a wish to completely erase Israel from the map. However, what does this mean for regular families, such as ours and yours? So, let us talk about the various strands of prophecy and examine how they are incorporated into the current world. Let's explore the links and revelations that can be found inside the pages of the Bible, from the wars in the Middle East to the geopolitical disputes in Europe. Stay with us till the end to find out. To begin with, apart from what is happening to Israel, a different struggle is raging in Europe, halfway around the world. China, North Korea, and Iran are involved in a conflict between the Western countries and a coalition headed by Russia. These conflicts are not merely far-off conflicts. They can have an impact on our lives that we may not even be aware of when they reverberate into our homes. Looking at all this, it feels like the whole world is at war, fighting against each other. If today, not tomorrow, every place will be a part of this havoc. Such times make us question if there is a way to see into the future in the middle of all this uncertainty. Can we actually foresee what will happen next? Thoughts on future trends are provided annually by some people, a channel on YouTube, and some forecasters. But where do these forecasts originate from? Remarkably, they originate from an antiquated source. The most reliable one is the Bible. Yes, you heard that right. The Bible has answers to most of our questions, and people are getting them on point. One of the books of Isaiah's bold declarations is, "I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning." With these words, a supernatural power to predict the future and know it before it happens is professed. Although there is room for doubt, many people find that this allegation is credible. So here we are talking about the accuracy of these old prophecies, particularly as they relate to the Middle East, as we dive deep into the conversation. According to the Bible, things that happen in this area have a ripple effect and affect how the entire world's development, which can be true, right? All of us have witnessed the Middle East's actions over the years. According to the experts and what they have learned about the future, there are 5 major themes to watch out for in 2024 and beyond, particularly in the Middle East. The way that texts from thousands of years ago, such as those found in the Bible, seem to mirror events occurring in the modern world is fascinating. It feels like they knew it all. They saw it coming, and we too had this information right in front of us. But we didn't know. Or shall say we didn't bother to find out. People making all these prophecies bluntly say that they do not consider themselves prophets, but they do study the writings of individuals who have been given divine inspiration. Now you must be thinking, why should we rely on the Bible to predict future events? We must, because no human being could foresee events hundreds of years in the future with any degree of accuracy. Take a guess at what countries, cities, or populations will look like in 2,000 or 3,700 years. Yes, it's difficult. However, over time, the Bible's prophecies have proven to be remarkably accurate and precise, and we have got many real-time proofs for it, don't we? However, coming out of our thoughts, let's talk about the trends of 2024 that we all should watch for. The first trend we are seeing is the continuous unrest in Europe, where the emergence of a strong leader who unites 10 rulers is predicted. This situation is similar to the vision of a figure with legs and feet that Nebuchadnezzar saw, which represented a divided kingdom. The Union in Europe is supposed to be composed of two distinct regions, just as the legs represent two distinct entities. This raises the possibility of a geopolitical realignment, with effects felt throughout the continent and beyond. The second trend is to expect a change in the geopolitics of Europe in the near future between Eastern and Western Europe. Rearming is a response to the crisis in Ukraine that nations like Germany have been expecting for decades. Up until this point, Germany has been reluctant to expand its military engagement despite urging from multiple U.S. presidents. The invasion altered everything in a matter of hours. These two prophecies will soon come to pass. 10 European leaders or nations will be united under a strong leader. This indicates that Europe is about to undergo significant change, so be prepared for some unexpected twists and turns. Let us not overlook the Middle East, though. The scene is being laid for these old predictions, though we cannot know with certainty when they will occur. Jerusalem took many of these prophecies to heart. The third trend predicts further hostilities in the Middle East, particularly between Israel and its neighbors. Well, everyone saw it coming, right? However, what about the majority of their residences? For those living in America and other nations of British ancestry, greater turmoil, bewilderment, division, and natural and man-made disasters are to be expected. If you remember, these man-made and natural disasters have increased happening in the past few years, like an increase in the intensity of earthquakes, experiencing hailstorms out of the blue. Name it climatic change or a part of prophecy. This has started happening already, and they are soon approaching us. However, there has been some hope for Middle East peace over the last 4 years. Leaders such as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman were optimistic about better relations after the Abraham Accords brought some peace negotiations. However, just as all appeared calm, a Hamas onslaught altered the course of events. What happened after this attack? No one can forget. However, it's amazing to remember that Abraham's grandson assembled his sons more than 3,700 years ago and discussed what would occur in the last days. And this prophecy was particular. Moreover, it's difficult to believe that Jacob, the man who would become Israel, could have predicted how far off his comments would sound. It is almost difficult for any human to predict the destiny of their descendants that far in the future, short of a heavenly revelation. Like the most, you might also be thinking, if we knew it, why wasn't it avoided? There are ways of the world to make things happen that are greater than us. They are operated in very different ways that cannot be seen from our naked eyes. Everything happens that is supposed to happen, no matter how cautious you try to remain. This brings us to the prophecy concerning Jacob's son, Judah, who stands in for the Jewish people. It compares Judah's dominance over their enemies to that of a lion controlling its domain. Additionally, a scepter is a symbol of authority. It is mentioned in the prophecy as remaining with Judah until the coming of Shiloh, the anticipated Messiah. It is true that some 1700 years later, Jesus, the Messiah, was descended from the Jews. What about the prophecy's passage that compares the Jews to lions and says they should not be provoked? That's a really accurate portrayal of their history, especially the past 75 years and even now. The way that old predictions appear to reflect modern reality is fascinating. And some people believe that the Messiah is soon to appear. They have also created temples and are sacrificing cows to make this prophecy true. Moreover, some of the people were adamant about creating the temples in particular locations where the prophecy was done. And the people believe that those who are living their lives centered on Jesus' principles will be forgiven, and the Lord will be on their side. Also, there are signs that soon the Messiah will appear on earth. The devotees are preparing for the moment. Coming back to the trends we were talking about, the prophet Zechariah, who lived some 2,500 years ago, made much more detailed predictions. For that, we will have to examine more closely what God revealed to him in chapter 12. God predicts that when the surrounding countries besiege Judah, which is a metaphor for the Jewish people, Jerusalem will turn into a cup of intoxication in lines 2 and 3 of Zechariah's prophecy. Jerusalem will also turn into a burdensome stone for all people, and anybody who attempts to move it will suffer dire repercussions. Now, this sounds like a matter of great concern. No one knows what to say and how to perceive it. However, this is a very detailed prophecy with 5 important elements to consider. It first foretells the Jews' arrival in Jerusalem, which was not always the case. For more than 800 years, there was no Jewish state following the Roman destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD and the Jewish exodus from the Holy Land in 135 AD. Jerusalem was ruled by a variety of empires, including the Byzantine, Muslim, and even brief Western occupations during the Crusades. But the British eventually gained control in 1917, which resulted in the Holy Land's final partition and the creation of Israel as a Jewish nation in 1948. The Jewish people triumphed and proclaimed their independence in the face of an immediate onslaught by Arab neighbors. The prophecy portrays the Jews as a lion that is difficult to tame, and its resiliency is indicative of that. Moreover, the prophecy serves as a testament to the enduring connection between the Jewish people and their ancestral homeland. Despite centuries of dispersion and diaspora, Jerusalem remained the focal point of Jewish identity and aspiration. The fulfillment of this prophecy with the establishment of Israel underscores the deep-seated longing of the Jewish people to return to their roots and reclaim their rightful place in history. No doubt Jews have fought constantly for their right and position in history, and it even continues to date. However, the prophecy's fulfillment speaks to the resilience and tenacity of the Jewish people throughout history. It is a testament to their unwavering faith and determination to overcome adversity and reclaim their place in the annals of time. As the Lion of Judah roars once more in the heart of Jerusalem, it echoes the enduring spirit of a people bound by a shared history and a collective destiny. Furthermore, the prophecy forbids anybody from trying to move Jerusalem's massive stone, because doing so will come with some bizarre consequences. This metaphor supports Jacob's prophecy that Judah, standing in for the Jewish people, would be best treated like a sleeping lion and should not be disturbed. As seen by the battles of 1967 and 1973, history demonstrates that attempts to contest Israel's sovereignty over Jerusalem have been greeted with prompt and forceful responses. It is worthwhile to think about what the Bible says about the Middle East's future as we approach 2024. The lessons of Zechariah 12 shed important light on the intricacies of the area and the role Jerusalem plays in determining its destiny. It is noteworthy that the prophecy states that the Jews will be in Jerusalem given the historical background of the Jewish people's dispersion and eventual return to their ancestral homeland. Inferring its great significance and the difficulties it presents to anyone who wants to tamper with it, Jerusalem is compared to a heavy stone in the world. History has shown this to be true, particularly in the continuous battles over the city. The fact is, this place does not only matter to the people of a certain faith. People from different religions want to have their rights in Jerusalem, because even Muslim prophets have given this place significant importance. So, they want to have a place for their prophets. They see it as a tribute like many others. But we already know from constant reminders in the scriptures and prophecies that the repercussions will be dangerous for anyone attempting to move this massive stone, which is symbolic of Jerusalem. The Jewish people's tenacity and will to hold on to power over their holy city are demonstrated by this. However, the prophecy states that Israel will face opposition from all of the world's countries. We can already see that happening. This is seen in the multiple UN resolutions against Israel and the international protests against Jews in different nations. Since Israel's attacks on Gaza recently, the whole world has something to say against Israel and its cruelty. The system with Jews is predicted to have tremendous military might despite opposition, similar to a lion that should not be provoked. Recent history has shown evidence of its military strength, especially in battles like the Six-Day War. However, a fact about the ongoing war is that the whole world wants Israel to stop at any cost. Many people want Israel to collapse completely, if that is what it takes to stop them. But everyone knows it's a wishful thinking. Israel has the celestial powers. So, it would never be easy to control this place. Zechariah also says that the governors of Judah will devour their enemies like a flaming fire. This imagery points to a day when the Jewish people will be militarily dominant and Jerusalem will be restored as their legitimate capital. Some people believe that day is not far away. Nevertheless, there was a warning that enemies would eventually take control of Jerusalem despite their superior military might. This fits in with current happenings, such as October 7, 2023, suggesting that the prophecy is still being fulfilled. Zechariah 14 contains in-depth forecasts of forthcoming events. According to the prophet, countries will unite to fight against Jerusalem on the day of the Lord. The city will be overrun, homes will be looted, and women will be abused. The prophecy about the division of Jerusalem will come to pass when half the people living in the city are taken captive. So clearly, the coming times are not going to be all happy and jolly. One can see dark clouds coming. Maybe people living on earth will commit sins to a level that the whole earth will get covered in darkness. And that is when Jesus will appear. Maybe that will be the time for second coming, because no human will be able to save themselves. And it will take a divine intervention to bring the course of the world back on track, exactly like it happened the last time when Jesus came to the earth. This is consistent with Revelation 11:2, which describes how the Gentiles trampled Jerusalem for 3.5 years before Jesus Christ's second coming. This time period, referred to as the Great Tribulation, is characterized by extreme unrest and God's wrath toward humanity for its disobedience. Zechariah also says that the Mount of Olives will split in two, forming a huge valley at this time. This spectacular incident serves as a metaphor for the earth-shattering enormity of what will happen on the day of the Lord. However, this metaphor can also be seen as the continents and countries dividing in two. And will this division happen? It will cost human blood, and it has started happening already. These predictions allude to a future period of intense upheaval and supernatural intervention. The prophets and the people of faith have been waiting for this moment for a long time. They knew humans would do everything so wrong that supernatural powers will have to intervene. Zechariah 14:9 makes it quite clear that the Lord will rule as king over the entire earth on that day. This portends a period of divine unity and sovereignty when everyone will recognize God's authority. If end-time Bible prophecy is any indication, we are about to enter a global war that will be as terrible as it gets, according to several text references. No one knows what will happen to the people who deny God's presence, who decided to not follow God's path. Some people like to believe that they will be forgiven, but some people believe that this time God is coming to the earth in wrath, and nothing will be excused. Therefore, we must stay alert and not let worldly distractions get in the way of our preparation for the day of the Lord. As a result, it's imperative to keep an eye out and pray non-stop in an effort to be considered worthy of escaping the trials that lie ahead and appearing before the Son of Man. However, a particular trend to keep an eye on in 2024 and the near future is the growing call for international intervention and control over Jerusalem. World leaders are debating how to handle the situation as the ongoing conflict raises concerns about the governance of Gaza, the West Bank, and Jerusalem itself. Expect more politicians to push for international supervision of this historically important city, which is respected by Muslims, Christians, and Jews equally, as the violence in the area worsens. This concern only arose after the Israel war. Some people also like to believe that this whole war is nothing but a show of power. The main aim of the war is to keep Jerusalem. Now that the world has suspected these intentions, everyone wants their slack from the best. After all, who wouldn't like to have a part of the place where God is going to appear in the very near future? Everyone wants to be spared to monstrosity that is happening, or is about to happen. Share your views in the comment section below. If you found the video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.